I wanted to get into ultrasound initially because I wanted a job in healthcare because it's a good industry. I didn't know probably anything about ultrasound. I knew that you could do like babies with it, and that's about it. And then I started researching what ultrasound is, what the career actually, really entails, how much work it is, how much schooling, and I realized that it's a good job, it's a stable job, and it's kind of fun sometimes and interesting, and you're helping people. And the more I got into ultrasound, the more I started to like it and the more I appreciated what it is. And now I am a sonographer. What makes Modern Technology School a little bit different than the other larger schools are that, one, it's very hands-on. The classes are small, so you have a lot more contact with the instructors. We do a lot of lab hours, so you're actually in school scanning hands-on earlier on than the larger schools, and more hours, and you have more access to the lab. From my understanding, you have days where there's no class, you can just come in for free and just scan, practice. You have your assigned lab classes. We offer more hours in clinic, which is very important because the more you physically scan in ultrasound, the more you learn and the better you get. And it's a constant field where you need to improve pretty much every day. You get something new and you have to just be ready and be adaptable. And so the more you scan, the more you study, the more you have hands-on help, I believe it's a little bit better. Some students are curious about an online program, which in my opinion isn't possible. You could probably study some lab books or read about pathology, look at pictures. That's all fine and good, but when it comes down to it, you need to physically scan. You need to learn how to manipulate the probe in a way to get a good picture. You need to learn how to use the machine. You can't really just read about that. You can't watch a video necessarily and say, I know how to do this. It's hands-on. There's really no other way to do it. If it were online, I feel like it would definitely not be for the benefit of the student. So when you first start school here at Modern Tech, you basically start from the beginning of ultrasound in general, learning what images should look like, learning anatomy, learning physiology, and even terminology. So there's a lot to start out with learning, and as you grow, you'll move on from normal ultrasound onto some pathologies. Pathologies will go to vascular, and lab you'll kind of be doing abdomen at first, pelvic, small parts like thyroid, then you'll eventually start doing, full venous leg exams, arterial exams, upper arterial. So there's a lot to learn. And as the program goes on, it kind of progresses. I wouldn't say it gets harder, but it gets maybe a little bit more technical because you're more prepared for the harder, more intense classes. When you are in lab, you start out, basically the exam gets introduced to you. You learn what the pictures should generally look like, what is expected, and then you start scanning yourself with your peers. So usually your class will be pretty small, 8 or less typically, and you'll partner up with each other. You all scan each other. Everybody's bodies are built differently, so some are a little bit easier than others, so you kind of get a idea of how each person can be a little bit different to scan. And then the instructor will help you, watch you, critique what you could improve on, what you're doing good, what you should keep doing, maybe what you should change. So the fact that it's small classes with a dedicated, lab instructor, teacher with you makes it so that as you're scanning and progressing, you know that you're doing the right versus the wrong, and maybe break some bad habits. So at Modern Tech, when you enroll, you're basically, it's an all-encompassing thing. You get lab, you have extra like tutoring help if you need it. All the teachers are willing to help you with any questions. You get your books, you get scrubs. So you kind of, it's a one-stop shop. You sign up, you get into the school, and everything's provided for you. You're given a clinic. You're more than welcome to find your own, but at the same time, you have access to clinics that the school has, which are all pretty good. So you could be either in an actual clinic, you could be in a hospital, outpatient setting, whatever it may be, depending on what level you're at, how prepared you are, or where we think would be a good fit is how you would get into your clinical site. At the school, we have some old machines, we have some new machines, kind of everything in between, which is very important because you think that you would just need to know the newest, hottest, best machine out there, and that's not the case. A lot of times you go into a clinic or into a new job and you have to use the machines they have. They might not have bought a new machine for 20 years. I don't know what they're gonna have. So you need to learn generally how to use machines. What each button does should be somewhat similar to a new versus old machine. It's kind of like you need to understand the ideas behind how it's working, and then you can kind of work on any machine, whether it's the best or not the best. You need to know how to do all of them. I'm always excited to meet new students. Sometimes I don't think they're as aware of how intense ultrasound can be. It's not just like open the book, learn it, and you're good to go. It's a lot of studying, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of research on your own part to look up images. It's a lot of practicing scan over and over. You think you got it, you get a new patient, they're very difficult. You have to know all the tricks, all the techniques. It's an ongoing thing. I've been doing it a long time, and I still feel like, oh, I want to read about this. I think I could improve that. So it's definitely a lot of work, but it's also can be really rewarding. So what the field entails after school when you graduate really depends on kind of which direction you'd like to go. Are you interested in just vascular? Do you want to do OB, breast? Do you want to do general, which would be like abdomen and all that type of thing? So you can kind of choose to a degree which direction you want to go in. I think a lot of people look at it like they're just going to scan pregnant people with babies, but there's just vascular techs where you do arterial and venous systems. There's pediatric ultrasound. There's all sorts of different types of ultrasounds. And for me, I kind of like to do all of it as much as I can. So you could work in a clinic, you could work in a hospital, you could work on call, you could do per diem, you could do full-time. It's kind of cool because there's a lot of options for you to choose which direction you take the career.